Hello and slowly welcome back to what is now defined as the last input session that we have, which will come from Austria. So actually, and this is purely accidental, we moved closer to where I am right now in Prague. And we will talk about the societal relevance and how that can be achieved through IHES in a university. So I would say, without further ado, Charlotte, I know that you do not have a camera, so that is fine. I stop my sharing and the screen.
I presume you're talking, Uwe, but you're on mute, so thank you.
Yeah, I was already muting myself. All is fine. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So, with any luck, you can see my screen. Is that correct, Uwe?
Perfect.
And I'm just going to go one slide ahead and then come back just to check it's working. You see a change?
Perfect.
Yes. Okay. I've learned from the last two days watching. Hi, my name is Charlotte. I work at the university in Vienna, though I'm actually British, as you may or may not hear. We have a very small project and it's relatively easy to do. And I would like to argue that IHES doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to change the world, but it can just change your university. And that's what we are trying to do by bringing societal relevance into universities through internationalization in higher education for society. And how are we doing that? We are using international entrepreneurs and experts as lecturers. So a little bit about our university. We are a very small university. We only have 3,000 students each academic year. We like it that way, I promise. And we're a University of Applied Sciences. This means everything is very practical and that our students are in the same group pretty much every semester for the whole of the 2 or the 3 years that they spend at our university. This is good because they get to know each other. And as you'll hear in a bit, that's a really good chance then for us to get this societal bit involved. Just quickly, we have 10 bachelors, 8 masters, and various MBAs, etc. These are then paid for. And we're getting there with the internationalization. We have 2 programs in English, a third one is coming. And every single degree program at our university has to have at least 25% of all courses taught in English, insofar as it makes sense. We're not going to ask anyone to teach real estate management about specifically German topics in English. The other opportunity we have for all of our students is our international management courses. These are, there's 50 of them every semester. They're open for both incoming students and also our regular degree-seeking students if they want to get involved. And perhaps special for us is that we employ so many lecturers. We employ 1,000 lecturers, give or take, every academic year. Some of them are doing very small bits, others are teaching many modules. And as I wrote here, some of them are simply, or not so simply, bachelor's and master's thesis supervisors. These could be also companies who have a topic they want our students to solve and they end up becoming the supervisors. So our step into IHES started with funding from the city of Vienna. We got this for 3 years to look at how we can make our lecturers more international. And if we make our lecturers more international and also possibly better teaching, then it can only benefit our students and hopefully the rest of society. We had 3 work packages. The second one is perhaps the most interesting. We offer fireplace talks on different topics, social diversity, on teaching methods. These are open not just to our university, but to all universities of applied sciences in Austria. And then we also have in-house extracurricular training for our lecturers. Sorry. So what happened? Corona happened, of course, and that means this year of the project has been a little bit more challenging. We stopped for a bit, but we've got back involved, and we've seen the light in that we now have e-learning as part of this project. We applied and got funding for a further year. And now we can also help even more because we are working online, and the new work package is called Online and Blended Learning in International Teaching. In this way, we are trying to move internationalization out of just the international office. I'm from the international office, but getting involved more stakeholders, both within the university and outside. So how are we doing this? We are using one of our greatest resources. Of course, our students are a great resource, but our lecturers are a great resource too. Of the 1,000 lecturers that we have, 2/3 of them aren't traditionally teaching in higher education. This is possible because we're not a university. We have a University of Applied Sciences. We're a little bit more agile, able to offer things a little bit different. And for this reason, yeah, over 2/3 of our lecturers work in companies, a lot of them in international companies. And they have a perspective that perhaps a teacher that hasn't, or a lecturer who has been teaching the same course for 20 years might not have. I've written it there as well. A lot of them come from abroad, and almost all of them work in very multinational companies. And this is great for our students because they're learning stuff. They're learning the real world skills. They're not learning it because it's been on the syllabus since 2015 and has never been changed. They're learning it because that manager had a meeting this morning and realized that this was a problem and brought it into our university to teach our students about it. So they get things that are useful for their degrees, but they also learn about the outside world. They have a bit more confidence about how they would act in an international team. And this helps them, hopefully also society when they go out into the world. And we get this more internationalized feature. So how do we get these international people? I imagine you all have it. We have a checklist for all lecturers at the University of Applied Sciences. And since 2018, we added 2 categories: international experience and English language skills. It's a small step, but it's helping, I feel. Anybody who doesn't have any international experience and any English language skills is not interesting for us. For almost all jobs, we require now that to at least have spent some time abroad, to have worked abroad, or to at very least work in an international company, and to be able to teach English, even if that's not the lecturer's language, to be able to teach English to a sufficient level that it's understandable. Because how do you understand about the international world out there, even if you don't have to talk in English, if you don't speak the language? So who's benefiting from this? Who's benefiting from having this system? Our lecturers teach our students relevant, up-to-date content. Our students learn from these lectures, but also give their own input. If you remember me saying, having such small classes of about 30, of students that know each other because they go into every class together, they trust themselves to talk within the class and give their own input. And this then gets fed back into the businesses because the lecturers learn, of course, also from our students, at least in an ideal way. And in this way, the knowledge ends up back in the business. And of course, it's a cycle because it goes round and round and round. I thought I would introduce you to 2 of our lecturers. They are both very interesting people, and they bring something, of course, into our university. They're not here, but they've given me a little interview, and I'm going to read it through with you about what they have to say. So our first person is Barbara Covarrubias Venegas. I cannot say her name correctly, but that's okay. She teaches everything to do with human resources. A great teacher, teaches both in English and German, and is a very, very international person. If you look at her on LinkedIn, you'll find she's doing something now called Dancing for Leadership. It's really, really interesting. She describes herself as a virtual enthusiast, a researcher, a speaker, and author. So she sounds fun, but on the other hand, she's also got a professor. She's also a professor. So we've got both parts of her. And she's really leading the way in this new ways of working. She's been online much longer than this Corona crisis. And she founded this platform that is being used and is actually being used today, I'll tell you in a little bit, called the Virtual Space Hero, which is a space for exchanging ideas online about different topics. She already wrote it there. So exchange on a regular basis on different topics about virtual classroom, virtual events, and working, leading, collaborating remotely. So a great person, of course, for a university to have teaching. So I asked her a couple of questions, and of course, I got some answers. I asked her what makes her international. So why is she an international lecturer? How does that work? And she said, I have been living and working abroad in the past 10 to 20 years in Italy, Spain, Chile, and Mexico. And through my international stays abroad, I have the great opportunity to connect with people from across the globe. I work and teach in English, Spanish, Italian, and German. At our university, she teaches in English and German. But still, you have these people with this international perspective that can only help our students, of course. And then I asked her, how do the students actually benefit from you? What's the benefit of having a teacher who's got this international perspective? And there, of course, she also answered in a nice way. I have been designing virtual learning journeys for the past 8 years. The Global Case Study Challenge is a real intercultural and virtual experience which provides participants with invaluable experience for their private and professional lives. Professors and lecturers from 22 universities across the globe with more than 600 participants, it says students, I can't read, are participating in this experiential learning activity in 2020. And this event is actually happening right now. So there are people from all over the globe meeting right now at 2 o'clock for a 5-hour challenge, getting involved. And that's students from our university, from universities in Australia, I'm sorry about the time difference, all getting involved in a project together. And this is really the sort of lecturer who can make such a difference to our students. I then asked the other way around, what do you get out of this? I mean, money, of course, but what else do you get out of this? And she said, yeah, she learns too. So every student group and every student is different. She's learning from them all. She wrote a really long text. This is a really short version of the interview I got back. And that she's learning from facilitating online. And then as the last question that I asked her, I said, what about a specific case? Can you tell me something about a student or students that you've helped? And there she talks about how she helped some students, or she taught some students, and that they have had this sort of multiplying effect and are passing it on to others. Which, of course, once again, society, the aim of the game. She wrote, particularly in this year, 2020, we're getting immediate feedback from students that they can apply the learnings into their professional lives because of the focus on digital leadership and collaboration skills. In this way, many more employees got training on how to organize virtual teams, how to facilitate virtual meetings, how to deliver impactful presentations online, or how to lead a remote team. So what she did, she taught some people, they've passed it on, it will carry on going on and on. So we're really happy to have her with us. And the second person is Dave Dargy. He is from Vancouver. He has a canal boat. He lives on a canal boat and keeps bees. He's a very, very funny guy. And he teaches a course, or he's teaching a course this semester in international sports marketing. This course is mainly for our incoming students. It's part of the international management courses, but it's open to all students. And we often get regular degree seeking students who perhaps get credits or perhaps don't for getting involved in this course. What about Dave? So he's worked at some of the Olympics. He's got some really interesting stories about working with the Olympics. And otherwise, he's been in the international sports and in sports pretty much all of his working life. He also has 2 books. And as I said, he's got one about being a beekeeper. It just come out. So I asked him the same questions, or similar questions, actually. Why? What is he giving to our students, and what is he getting back? He, as it says there, NBA and NHL, I think there's something football-y, I'm not sure, took me all over North America. Then I lived in London for a year, and I travel a lot, and I do travel writing, been to over 50 countries. I also teach in Vancouver at BCIT. I think that's the British Columbia University Institution of Technology, and in India at the Indian Institute of Management in New Delhi. So here we have a teacher who's been all over the world and can bring that experience to our students as well. What do the students get out of this whole thing? If you've ever met Dave, and I hope one day for you, you do, I sat in some classes and I saw the students participating in a way I've never seen before. They were happy almost to interrupt, to the point of if they knew what they wanted to say, they knew that Dave would listen to them. It was a very, very good atmosphere, and a lot of students have come out of this class, they'll tell you in a second, with a benefit and in some cases a job. So he says, my teaching style is very anecdotal. Every sentence that comes out of Dave's mouth is, oh, when I was at the Olympics, this happened. Or, oh, when this was there, this happened. I like to give real life examples of deals I've been involved in, with closing important meetings I've attended and interesting sports marketing people I have met. I combine my real life experiences with the academic chapters in the great textbook I use. The combination of practical and academic teaching works well. So a little bit about how Dave teaches. He gives every student a project to choose a new country where, or a current country where the Olympics or the Paralympics should take place, and to concentrate on one of a list of 50 different areas. So every student gets into a group, they present, they have to dress up well. He doesn't, like if they come in a suit, they get good marks already. And whether it's accreditation or looking for a location, by the end of this project, they know what they have to do to work in a sports environment. And as he then writes, when I asked him, can you name a specific example of a case where your course has helped a student with their future? They're everywhere, not just in North America and in the Olympic Games. There's actually one, I don't know if you follow football, in Rapid. It's an Austrian team. The person did this course. They didn't get any credits, but they did this course. And when they finished the course, they applied to Rapid and said, well, I have no experience in sports personally, but I have made this plan for you and it will make everything better. And with a reference from Dave, the person got the job. So finally, I asked him, what has changed since teaching switched from face-to-face to online? Is anything getting lost? I really wanted to know what the difference is. And he says, of course, and I think we can all understand this, face-to-face teaching is better. Online is okay, and I'm doing my best to bring the in-class experience to a smaller computer screen. The subtleties, nuances, and dynamics of teaching in person are hard to replicate. But online teaching is good too. And at this point in time, we have little choice. I'm just starting to really get the hang of it. Okay, and what will we do for him? Well, from January 2021, we have this new work package in online and blended learning in international teaching. We're going to pick up Dave, we're going to help him make his classes even better so that his students, and also so that he can get even more out of this class and even more out of his teaching experience at our university. I asked him, how do you benefit from the students? And he wrote a really long answer. This is the short one. I love the energy of a classroom. Tons of ideas, opinions, and beliefs, all colliding in a dynamic cauldron of learning. My students have so much potential, and most young people enjoy discussing and learning about the business side of sports. Teaching is fun and very rewarding. And there we are. You are very welcome to get in touch with me if you have any questions about our small but important IHES project, either by email or LinkedIn. You can also look up Barbara on LinkedIn. I really recommend that. And Dave, you can look at his website. You can read his books. If you're ever in Vancouver, you can meet him on a canal boat, possibly. That will be it for me.
Thank you, Charlotte. I feel a bit bad that I switch on my camera now when yours is not working. I hope that is okay. It's just a little bit more lively if we have
I can turn it
a
on
picture.
now. I was just pulling faces before, you see.
Yeah, of course. That is fine. And there she is. Welcome in face to face now. It's funny, by the way, that we always say face-to-face meaning in real, when we can also have face-to-face, of course, online. I act again as your question host, and I would right away delve into it with a question from Maria Norton from Southampton, which is, how might we motivate both academic and professional colleagues less well disposed to the added value of internationalization to get involved? And in brackets, agreed, it is not only the responsibility of the International Office, but also the wider university.
I would certainly agree. And if I could answer that question well, I think I would be very rich. We always have this big issue. How do we get everyone involved? I mean, we are a very international team in the International Office. And I think that helps that people see what a value we bring to the university. The majority of us are bilingual. And we have a lot of international lecturers in the university already. But yeah, it will always be an issue. I think now that everything goes online, it's so easy to get these international colleagues, or to see, I'll start again. The added value is so easy to get now. You don't even have to fly someone in, pay them money for a flight. You can talk to them online. They can hold a lecture online. So it's really easy now to get a little bit of internationalization into your university. And if you start small, it will get bigger. I was talking to Uwe about this a couple of days ago. We have now a follow-up project that's going to be even bigger for internationalization in higher education society that would never have happened without this small step for us.
Tell us a little bit about that new project. Come on. I mean, this is also for the, peek behind the scenes opportunity.
Well, oh, wonderful. Well, we started with this project, and then we thought, okay, we have an awful lot of lecturers and they enjoy talking to our students in classes, but how can we get them to talk in smaller groups? And so we've come up with this idea of mentors, having international mentors who will talk both to our students, and this is the bit we added, we will get the international students involved too. Either those that didn't make it here quite, but wanted to because of Corona or any other reason. It's not the only reason that you can't get to Vienna right now. But they will get involved too. And so we will have once a month, then meetings online probably, between mentors from these companies, our students, and also an international student. And there is no goal, there is no credit for this. It's just about, okay, here is a person further on in life, let's say, than you. What can you learn from each other? How can you benefit from each other? And we're going to try this out then in the summer semester of 2021 for the first time. You're on mute, Uwe.
Yeah, I know. And now I know. You are also basically applying two different perspectives of internationalization, or IHES in the lecturer's approach, isn't it? I mean, on the one hand, it is of course that I think 35%, if I got it right, of the lecturers have an international background. So there, the international comes to the university from this society, but also that you have, of course, the international students meeting, Austrian entrepreneurs who might not have an international experience, maybe also from small or medium-sized companies. How do you experience the difference that both groups have with this new international component? So for the Austrian employer, how do you perceive? Is there a difference for them whether they teach Austrian students or international students, and vice versa? How do the Austrian students interact differently? How do they feel about an international entrepreneur? What is the difference for them? Is there any?
I think a lot of our lecturers know that either they're going to be mainly with Austrian speakers and possibly a couple of international students, or mainly with international students and then a couple of Austrian. And so I therefore think there is probably a difference, but they're aware of it from the beginning. So it's not not unexpected for them. But I'm really excited, and it is really going to be interesting to see what happens then with this mentor program, where you really have a student from a completely different country and one of our students together talking to a company. And there, I think you'll really be able to see the difference between the two students. And I hope that everyone learns something, and I hope everyone benefits from this.
And what would be what you talked about all the good sides, right? And we had an interesting discussion today from Göttingen, where Philip talked a lot about the things that did not materialize. That, for example, the companies said, we don't want your welcome services until we have an international employee, not realizing that they don't get the international employee without the welcome service because they are not in one of the main cities where it's easy to attract people. So a catch-22. But how is it in your case? How do you perceive any like that at all? Is that a problem?
I mean, we'll have to see, but yes, of course, there are students that it's always the question about the limits of internationalization. Who are we internationalizing for? Do they still want it? Did we ever ask them? These are questions. And we are, at the end of the day, an Austrian university. Our owner is the Vienna Economic Chamber. And they're perhaps slightly not convinced that we should become the completely most international university and only do anything in English and have nothing to do with the Austrian companies. So that's definitely a limiting factor for us. And the more we push internationalization, of course, we may lose some people who are not on board. But we are doing it because we want to give the best opportunities for our students to be able to deal with the world as it is. And the world is an international world, even if you live in Vienna or especially.
Yeah, there's by the way, there was the comment from Kirsten Mattes from Berlin, suggesting that you present the results at the next IHES conference. Now there we are, the marketing already started for the next round. Now, but seriously, it's of course, it's about the buy-in, isn't it? And the question that was also asked before, but here you do not have the same problem that others do, isn't it? I mean, you do not really, you do not have to convince so much because you can use take those people who are interested. So make it more of a competition, the Tom Sawyer principle, isn't it?
Exactly, it's quite a low hurdle. And if you're interested, you can certainly get involved. Of course, I think a lot sometimes about the ones who aren't interested, don't get involved, and how, I mean, I think it happens with every university. We offer for our universities, for our lecturers, okay, we make a course in a multicultural classroom. Who is coming? The 17 people who can tell you the definition of culture from 7 different perspectives perfectly. And who is not coming? The person who is ringing saying, I hope I don't get any Erasmus students in my course because maybe they have Corona. It didn't happen, but it's an example.
Yeah, it's you preach to the converted. But as I always say, let's be patient and trust that at one point the rational choice moment kicks in, and that people see that first it is strange to do something, then it is becoming more normal, and then it's the standard, and people are asked why they don't do it. And I think you are on a very good way there. Is there maybe, if you had to say it, let's say in one sentence, what would be your recommendation to all these institutions who also have to rely very much on people with practical experiences? What is the one thing that you think is useful or is useful in order to get this IHES component going?
I think you just have to know what you're doing it for. What is your aim? Why are you getting involved in IS, or why you do IHES, or why you do internationalization? As long as you know what you're doing it for and you have clear goals, you will get there.
Now, we could not put it more precisely, because basically you made the turnaround back to the first presentation Hans, Betty, Elspeth, and me did, where we said it all starts with the goals. No goal, no activity. And our goal here is, of course, to present a lot of different approaches, and yours was a very, very interesting one. And the second goal is to be totally in time, which we are. And therefore, I would love to thank you for your session.